If you clicked on this video, you're probably thinking about moving and buying a home in the Seattle area. But with changing interest rates, so many different loan options, and the idea of moving and buying at the same time, you're probably not sure where should you start. By the end of this video, I'm gonna give you the knowledge and resources so that you can confidently move and buy a home at the same time. Stay tuned.
Ayo, Jack.
Now let's get right into it. The first question I get asked about when moving to Seattle and the surrounding areas is the home prices. So let's look at the median home prices, especially if you're moving from places like Florida and Texas. You might get initial sticker shock from the differences, the mass differences of how much more pricier homes can be up here versus the area that you move from. So let's look at the median home prices, and it's going to vary by city. So for example, Seattle's median home price is $850,000. Tacoma's median home price is $500,000. Linwood's median home price is $730,000. And Bellevue is $1.66 million. And if you're not familiar with Seattle, you might be initially shocked that Bellevue is so much more higher than Seattle. When you look at the east side of Seattle, places like Bellevue, Kirkland, and Issaquah, those are known as, respectfully, the bougie areas of Seattle. So that's why they're priced the way that they are. Now, if you're looking for more affordable options in the Seattle area, you can look at places like Tacoma and Federal Way. If you're south of Seattle, if you're looking more north of Seattle, you got places like Everett and Arlington. So those are the median home prices. If you need an exact number for each city that maybe I did not mention, feel free to send me a text. I'll put my phone number in the description and the comments below. But also I'll put a link of the video that I did called Most Affordable Seattle Suburbs. I have 20 different Seattle suburbs I included in that video that gives you a median home price of each area. Now, since we got the median home prices out of the way and hopefully that initial sticker shock is gone, let's talk about the process of buying a home once you determine which area you want to live in. Step number one is getting pre-approved. You want to get pre-approved with a mortgage lender. This process of getting pre-approved can take 1 to 3 business days depending on how fast you can submit your documentation into a loan officer of your choosing. Now, they will give you a pre-approval letter. When you make an offer on a home, you must have a pre-approval letter submitted with the offer that basically shows the seller that you're financially capable of buying a home at that price point. Now, when it comes to finding a loan officer, you can work with any loan officer that's licensed in Washington State. However, I do have personal recommendations of people that I know get the job done. And I prefer to work with local loan officers that have the best idea of the local market and give you the best deals when it comes to a down payment assistance, home buying grants for special occupations like teachers and firefighters. So if you need a recommendation on loan officers for your pre-approval, send me a text. I can set you up ASAP. All right, step number 2 is to determine your budget. When it comes to pre-approval, they'll give you a pre-approval purchase price amount. But the most important thing is to determine your monthly mortgage payment that you're comfortable paying. Just because, for example, you're pre-approved for $800,000, when you look at the monthly payments, maybe $700,000 is more comfortable for you. Once you determine that comfortable monthly mortgage payment amount, then you can start doing home tours. Now, it's really important to determine your price point and monthly payment amount before you look at homes. And the reason I say that is, let's go back to that $800,000 example. You start touring homes at $800,000, but then when you start doing your pre-approval more in depth, you find out, you know what, let's do $700,000 instead because I'm comfortable making those monthly payments. But then you already exaggerated your expectations because you looked at a home that was $100,000 higher. Now, for every home that you see going forward, you can compare it to that higher priced home. So I always strongly recommend determine your price point and your monthly payments before doing a home tour. Then we'll schedule a home tour based on your comfortable price point. Step number 3 is finding the right home. Based on your family, working situation, you might have a preference of working maybe in Seattle, north of Seattle in places like Everett and Linwood, or south of Seattle in places like Tacoma and Federal Way, or on the east side of Seattle with places like Bellevue and Issaquah. Think about your work commute, your lifestyle, and how close you want to be to amenities. Each city within the hour of Seattle does have their own vibe, so I strongly recommend, if you're out of town, maybe scheduling a visit to these areas, seeing it in person. Maybe not even look at homes, just get an idea of the vibes of the city just by walking around, going to the grocery store and things like that, just to get a feel. Because I have seen in the past people who thought they want to move to Seattle because it looks great on Instagram and it looks good on YouTube, but then when they actually travel to the city for the first time, they realize, you know what, for whatever reason, this is not the fit for me. So I strongly recommend, if you can, if you're from out of state, scheduling a trip to the area, just drive around and get an idea of the vibes. Now, if you need insider information about the vibes of each city, like I said in the beginning of the video, I lived south of Seattle, I lived in Seattle, I lived north of Seattle. So I can give you a pretty good idea if these cities are the right fit for you. Step number 4, and one thing about it, I probably should put this as step number 1, but anyway, step number 4 is to work with a real estate agent. Now, I am a real estate agent broker licensed in Washington State, but you can use any real estate agent that you want. I do have a Google review page. If you Google Gus Montgomery, you'll see all my 5-star reviews. But it's totally up to you, but I do strongly recommend working with a real estate agent to do all the heavy lifting for you, especially when it comes to moving and buying a home at the same time. Step number 5 is making an offer. So let's say that you do find a home and it checks most of, if not all, the boxes. Then your agent will help prepare an offer to make on that home to present to the seller. The offer will include your offer price and contingencies such as financing and inspection. This will help protect you as a buyer when going through the closing process of the home. Now, there's a lot of pages within the offer, so I strongly recommend going through it with your real estate agent. Me, myself personally, I do offer Zoom consultations during the offer period so that you are comfortable with every single page that you sign. Whatever agent that you have, make sure that you feel comfortable with all the terms of the contract before making an offer. The offer will be presented to the seller and the listing agent, and they can determine if they're going to accept it, decline it, or ask you to negotiate to come up to some type of compromise. Step number 6 is the closing process. So let's say the seller and listing agent have agreed to your offer as a buyer. The home is now under contract and pending. And this is where all the contingencies come into play, like financing and the inspection. And now the inspection contingency is one of the most important parts of the closing process. We will have a highly qualified inspector inspect your home, looking at things like the foundation, roof, electrical, and plumbing to determine that this house suits your needs as a buyer. If there's something that goes awry with the inspection, you can always go back to the seller and ask them to fix said issue or maybe negotiate in helping with the repair cost. Now, all the contingencies that we talked about when making an offer, like financing and inspection, come into play here. There are deadlines and timelines that you must follow. So again, proper communication with your real estate agent is ideal. Now, if all goes well during the closing process, you have successfully purchased a home in the Seattle area. Next, let's look at insider tips for buying a home in the Seattle area, starting off with interest rates. Depending on when you watch the video, the interest rates may be between 6 and 7%. The exact interest rate for your mortgage loan is going to depend on your individual factors, such as credit. Now, closing costs. Closing costs is an underrated aspect of buying a home. When you're buying a home, a lot of people just think about the down payment, but the closing cost is really important as well. The closing cost is 2 to 5% of the purchase price that the buyer has to cover, or if you can negotiate with the seller, cover some or all of the closing costs. But when you're in a competitive market like we are in Seattle most of the time, the buyer usually is expected to assume those closing costs. So definitely budget for closing costs when you're buying a home. Now with closing costs, there are special loan programs out there to help pay the closing costs for certain occupations like teachers, firefighters, police officers, and government officials. If you'd like more information about those loan programs, send me a text or email. The contact information is in the description and in the comments below. Now, as I mentioned earlier in the video, Seattle is usually a competitive market for people who are buying a home. That's because Seattle is a transplant city. There's a lot of people moving from out of state into our state because of the job economy and or the lifestyle of the Pacific Northwest. So it's really important to partner up with a real estate agent that is familiar with the local landscape that can help you navigate a challenging, competitive, but also hopeful real estate market. Now, I just covered a lot of stuff in this video, but there's no way I can cover every single detail of the home buying process. So in the link in the description below, I included a link to my home buyer website that gives you more in-depth information about the home buying process. And if you want to do a free Zoom home buying consultation, you can do that also with the links below. All right, that is it for today's video. If you have additional questions for me, feel free to text, call, or email me. All my contact information is below, or to schedule a Zoom meeting with you. Hopefully I gave you the knowledge and insight that you can feel confident about moving and buying a home in Seattle. If you value this content, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I hope to continue to provide more value going forward. Until next time, take care.